Come in and tell me when I need to come in. I need to hop in.
Well, we're letting it play out, man.
Okay, play it out.
And
we're streaming though, right?
cue us. Yes, we're in.
Cool. Good evening, Vinny.
Good evening, Jason.
Take two. We tried to do this just a few seconds ago, just a minute or so ago, and it didn't happen, but that's cool. I actually like this. I like the fact that we're just hammering through the tech stuff. You know, we're doing it live. We're doing it in front of the world. If the world were there, I mean, if we were to have like 1,000 people seeing us, that's fine. If we have 3 people seeing us, that's fine. If we have 1 or 0, I think it's fine. I think it's a matter of just experimentation and the exploration of life and the tools and the toys that we have. I think it's not a bad thing. Yeah, as long as we're going earnest.
I'll drink to that, man.
Yeah, and I would drink, but I already drank the rest of my.
Oh no!
Oh no! Maybe I get a refill or something like that. I'm having that for our Perk and Pub. I was having that Angry Orchard, the apple cider. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. So I think I'll just. I finished that, so that's good for tonight. I might just switch to apple cider vinegar. Maybe that's what I'll do. Is just have like some water with apple cider vinegar. That's good. That's some Angry Orchard right there. Anyway, so the solution for education. I don't know how much we had before. If anybody was watching before, thank you. But am I coming up on my mic? Am I okay?
Yep.
Okay. So I've been reading the 25th anniversary. I say reading. I haven't been reading. I've been listening to the 25th anniversary of Friday Night Lights. There's a part of it, and there's many parts of it, how these high school students, these football players, I mean, these are elite football players, right? West Texas football is big time. I'm talking about this high school out in Texas. They're playing in the playoffs at this one point in time. This is in 1988. And how these players are recounting that some of the teachers would give them cheat sheets with the test. Like they'd hand them a test, they'd hand them the answers, right? And then that was one way that they would get them to pass the class. And then the second way they would get them to pass the class is they would tell them, you don't have to take the test, and they would just give them a grade, right? That was it. Like you didn't even have to put the fake answers in. You just didn't have to take the test. You didn't have to do the homework. This is your grade. You got an 85, whatever. And then they would pass these high school kids through the system,
Wow.
Which is insane. You know, it's when you really think about it and you dig down, you're doing a disservice to these kids, right? Because they're in school and educational school, and I'll come back to the word school later on. But they're in an educational environment. They're supposed to be educated, and they're just letting them slide by, which is just crazy. Now, one guy made this comment that he said, he was these guys sliding by, and he says, I love school. Because I just come and I don't have to do any work, and I just get to, hang out and flirt with girls all day. And this goes back to a comment I had made with some friends a while back, different groups of people. And I said the problem with high school is that you are actually trying to teach kids to do something in high school. It says they're never going to, you don't teach kids in high school. High school kids learn or they don't learn. That's it. You actually don't even, I hate to say it, but sometimes you don't have to necessarily have a teacher. You just have to have kind of a facilitator, somebody that's going to help them. You can give some lectures and stuff like that, but the kids are either going to learn or they're not going to learn. It's really not so much teacher-based. I think that stops at around 8th grade, around the 12, 13, or 14-year age. After that, kids will pick up the torch and will do whatever they want to do with their own education. And no matter what you do, you're not going to force them to learn. You may create better environments for them. I think that's what a teacher should do, is give a better environment, but you're not going to actually teach them. The kids are going to learn. You just got to give them information. So that's the first aspect of it. Now, going back to school, I was listening to another book, so I'm listening to 2 books simultaneously. I'm listening to the Friday Night Lights, and I'm also listening to Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman. And that's an amazing book. It's one that Tim Ferriss. Oh, let's do it, Tim Ferriss. Check it out, dude. Look how much I got. I'm almost done with this doggone tome, Tim Ferriss. Look at that. I'm almost. I read a bunch of this stuff. Anyways,
dang, man.
yeah.
You basically are done.
Yeah, they talk about this. Surely you're joking, Mr. Feynman. And I've been listening to that book. It's just a crazy book. It's really, really crazy. It's long. It's insane. But he brought up the subject because sometimes you listen, you say, there's no way you did this stuff. But he did, I guess. And he went to Spain and he was teaching in Spain. And he wanted to be in a samba, what's it called? A samba musical group. I don't know what you would call it. And he got on one and he just played this instrument or whatnot, and he would go and play in these clubs and everything. Here's this American professor, this nerd professor of theoretical physics, playing like samba music in Spain and whatnot, and how he's talking about it. You're just like, really? He was talking about schools. He says you would have different schools. And he goes, and they're not schools. He goes, the irony is that, he was a professor, and to him, school was a place that you would go to learn. He says, but these aren't schools where you would go to learn necessarily. He says a school is just he goes, as in the term of fish. It's a group of people or a group of anything that congregate together or do the same thing. And it goes back to when we talk about like jazz, we'd have like schools, different schools. You have cool school in jazz and things of that nature. And it's just it's not necessarily a genre, but a group of people that adhere to some practices. And so taking school, and that's kind of the first thing, is take the idea of education, right? And then take the idea of school. And those two things aren't necessarily intertwined. They're not synonymous, even though Westernized thought, we think they are synonymous. They're actually not. A school is just a congregation. I mean, I don't know if you can look up the actual definition of school. I'm sure they would attribute it now to some sort of education, but it's just like a school of fish. It's not like fish are going around and it's like, 2 + 2 = 4, and 4 + 4 = 8. No, they're just doing stuff together.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Do those two words trace back to the same root? The two terms with the same word, right?
Possibly, and I haven't even done what is it, etymology?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the correct term for it, which is ironic.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm looking at an online etymology dictionary right now, and
cool.
Actually, okay, yeah, we can do this.
Yeah, let's pop it up if we can pop it up. People see. So while you're doing that, I'll talk about one of my theories. I have some theories about schools. Something that I care deeply about. Something that I loved. I loved school. I loved going to school when I was a kid. I loved going to elementary school, middle school, and high school. Not because of homework. I actually thought that homework got in the way of everything. Strangely enough, what I loved about school was the fact that was where I could go and just be around a bunch of friends, right? Like, where do you get to do that now as an adult? Where do you actually get to go almost 5 days a week to be around a bunch of your peers? Just like it's like, when you think about it, what school was 12 years of constant seminars and what's the other word for it, where people get together, like starts with a C. It's like conventions, right? Okay. Like you go to a writers convention. Like I say, if I were to go to a writers convention, I go to a writers convention. I pay like $300 to go to a writers convention so I can be around other people who write and talk to them and share ideas and whatnot. When you're in school, you get like every kid within whatever mile radius, and you throw them into one place, and then they automatically distribute themselves according to what they like and they don't like, as sort of socioeconomic class and whatnot, and possibly race or who knows what. And then you end up settling into the group that you're going to be in that shares somewhat similar like ideas or a cultural background, possibly, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then from that point forward, you just continue to socialize with these people, right? And you get to do that 5 days a week. And for me, that was the beauty of school. when when they give us homework or they're lecturing, I'm like, oh, ugh. It's like I can read this at home. Like you gave me a big old huge fat book, you could just tell me to read pages 50 through 60 and then give me a test. I says, but what I can't get is to be able to talk to the person that's next to me, because when I go home, I have to call them on the phone or I have to set something up.
Huh.
But here we get to congregate with each other. And this kid who was kind of bragging a bit about how much he loved, this is in that Friday Night Lights book, about how he loved school because he got to go and he didn't have to do any work and he got to socialize. I was thinking, come on, you get kids that are like after 13 to 18 years old, all they want to do is socialize. That's all they want. That's what we've been built as humans during that time. That is the time, the prime time in our life for us to socialize, because that's a time, evolutionary, biologically speaking, that we would find a mate during that time. And the only way to find a mate is to actually A, learn social skills and how to communicate with each other, and B, be in contact with somebody to actually utilize those social skills. And the fact that they're pushing calculus on 15-year-olds who aren't going to use it, it just seems strange. So I'll come up with my solution in a second, but any thoughts that you have thus far?
Well, you're making some interesting points here. I'm definitely looking to see where you have to go, where you're going with it. Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing that I would do, there's a few things that I would do for school. And I'm not saying that we're going to reform public school completely with these few things that Jason Sauls is going to say, but who knows, maybe you will. The first thing that we would do is that school is not in the winter, but it's actually in the summer. And it's not seen as a place where you go, well, let's just start with the summer, right? You go to school in the summer and you flip it around, because in the summertime, that's prime time for people to get together and socialize with each other. Now, the winter is also, but there's a lot more transportation issues in the winter. In the summer, a lot of kids can walk and ride bikes and whatnot to go to school, right?
Yeah.
And so you send them to school in the summer. Then in the winter, they're staying home, they're hunkering down, they're doing things, and I'll get to why they're doing things in the winter. So, but in the summer, they just get to do a lot more socializing and a lot more spending time with each other, a lot of field trips to different businesses to see how business actually works. Just go around to as many different businesses and many different types of organizations and things like that. Field trips all the time. Boom, 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 boom. And just let them do that. Now, the second thing is that if for them, and this is an idea I had, is that what we do is that we give kids tests at the end of the year to get out of school. And I want to flip that completely on its head to say that you actually give a test at the beginning of the year to get into school.
Ooh.
To say, yeah, are you worthy to get into this next grade, right? And if they don't get to go to school. They actually are turned away and go back home. Now, the reason why I say that is because not for just a education or just, like facts and everything like that, but it's actually more utilizing the social peer pressure, because you want to be with your friends. If you're going to be in this really cool place for summer and have a lot of fun and do this stuff, then you're going to spend the winter learning to pass this test as like an entrance exam to get into this really cool summer school, right? And all through winter, you have 9 months or 6 to 9 months, whatever, to be studying. They give you the course load, and it's up to each kid to determine who they want to study with, how they want to study, when they want to study, and what they're planning for. So it gives the power to the kid to say, look, this is how life is going to be when you grow up. We're going to tell you that you have to do something, but it's up to you to actually prepare for it, right? If you have a TED Talk, they're not going to hold your hand and tell you what you have to say. It's like, you have to prepare. We're going to tell you the date. We're going to tell you what we expect of you, but you're actually going to have to do the work to get in there, and you're going to seek out other people. Here's some other resources, giving them as many resources as possible, but you're not actually paying for those resources. You're having people who volunteer, people like me who would love to volunteer to help these kids study groups, set up spaces for them. let them, and then tell them, what are your ideas? What would make you study better? What would make you learn more? What resources would be good for you? And help bring them into the teaching process. So now they're not just a byproduct of the education system. They're actually building the education system outside of the education system, through the education system, with the education system, with the one goal to get past this test, to actually get into the super summer school and have a whole lot of fun with a bunch of their friends, right?
Huh.
Yeah, so that's the second part of it. And the third part
Hold on a second. Let me see if I'm with you so far. So
Sure.
first of all, we're gonna make school like a TED talk. You're gonna have to be prepared for school like if you're giving a TED talk.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and this preparation is going to happen in the winter months, where kids are more likely to be spending time indoors anyways because it's cold and
Yeah.
whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're kind of got this built-in isolation, and you're gonna either use it for studying and focus, or you're gonna use it for uh, you know video games and
Yeah.
computers and TV, and um, have potentially antisocial um, effects.
That's up to the kid. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely up to that's all in their power. You're actually giving that kid that power
Yeah.
to make, but you're guiding them, telling them, saying if they were to do that, these are going to be the effects of that. However, if you were to connect with other kids, and here's all the resources and how to do it, and here's spaces where you actually can meet and things like that, you can do that. It's up to you. Which one do you want to do? And the kid that says, well, I want to play video games all winter long, all fall, and then when he comes in summer and he can't pass a test and he sees all his peers going to do something else, that's completely up to him. That's his choice. And I think that's because
Isn't it just
kind
the
of
case though? I mean, that's life preparation right there.
that's actually preparing somebody for life. That's actually saying, hey, this is what life is going to be like when you get out of here. But also, in the flip side, if you slack off, you're not going to get the benefits and the rewards. But if you don't slack off, you're actually going to get the benefits and the rewards. But what it would teach these kids, what I'm thinking, this is just a theory, is it would teach these kids that, hey, there's a benefit and reward to learning how to associate with other kids, to build groups to study with.
Yeah.
Because that's what businesses do, right? That's what we're doing right now. You and I, there's no overpowering lord, meaning like some sort of an employer that's telling, Jason and Vinny, you have to get together at such and such time to do such and such, blah 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 blah, right? We're doing it on our own. Why? Because we realize the value that we're getting from the experimentation and the study from what we're doing, the association we get with each other. We have a social fulfillment, if you will. Actually, I do. I know I do. And we're also building on something and learning and having a lot of fun while we do it. And no one's forcing us to do this, right? But we're doing it knowing that the more we do this, the more we learn, the more we grow, the better we are. And I think that is the core of what we should be doing with education. We should be encouraging that stuff and giving outlets and platforms for people to do that, to play, to learn, to challenge, and all that stuff, and then give them something to work towards instead of work into, rather than work out of. We're trying to get kids to graduate school. I think we need to switch that around and say, no, you're not trying to take a test to get out of it, to finish it. You're trying to take a test to get into it, to enjoy it, to love it.
I kind of like that. I wonder, have you tried shooting holes into your logic there?
No, because my logic is sound, and if anybody tries, I know that there's obviously something like this is a theory, right? And there's going to be a lot of people saying, well, that could work or that won't work because of such and such and da 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 da. And I say that's fine. Again, it's just a theory.
Well, here, if I may, where I would perceive it gets met with resistance even just talking about it, just in passing like this, will cause some turmoil because now all of a sudden you're talking about a situation where there's a potential that a kid doesn't get into school.
Yeah, obviously,
And
yeah.
yeah, right? I mean, and yeah, it's up to the kid and their circumstances and all of that. But you know, everybody wants kids to have a fair chance. You know what I mean?
Exactly. No, and that's great. And I think that what the teachers become at that point is not so much lecturers and facilitators of tests and things like that. Their actual role is encouragers, right? So they have a closer connection with each kid and knowing which kids are having a hard time, maybe at home or something like that. Maybe it's a partial social worker, if you will. However, but I'd venture to guess that a lot of some of these teachers who really care would see themselves as social workers because they realize that these kids have um, social challenges, maybe familial challenges, socioeconomic challenges, and things of that nature. But we would give the resources, and also on the flip side, and this is something we've been talking about students, it would also be giving the teachers a lot of freedom to do some of the stuff that they feel is right. I believe that a lot of teachers want to teach and they want to do it the best way possible. Give them the complete freedom with some oversight, don't get me wrong, to figure out the best ways to do this and work with each other. So basically you're giving the students or you're giving the teachers the same thing that you're giving the students. You're allowing them to work with each other. You're allowing them to create their own groups, allowing them to create their own platforms built on your platform, like a sub-platform, right? So you give them, think of it as coding. You give them a basic code for whatever sort of program that you want to run. And it's up to them to create subcode or to enhance that code, right? Like if you have like HTML, CSS, they can go in and they can modify that CSS to whatever's going to be good for, say, little Johnny or Beth or whoever that's having a hard time. They get a different code because each child is individual, and they're given the freedom to change and mold their teaching and their influence to that child, because it doesn't matter, because they're not actually in school being tested by that. This is all the preparation for the test, right? So if you treat one child a little bit differently, that's okay, because it's not like every child has to take the same test or something like that. The test is results. It's results based, right? So what you may have like one kid, and these teachers go to them, and the kid's like, "Oh, don't come around here. You're just annoying me. I don't need you here. I can study. I can do this stuff myself. I can figure this out." And the teacher's like, "Okay, that's fine." But that allows them to spend more time with another kid who really, really needs that attention, because they're not self learners. And so it really does, in a weird way, kind of even out the playing field, because you're allowing the freedom for them to do what I believe they want to do best. And that's just me speaking as not a teacher. And if anybody has any other ideas, I'd love to hear that. That's just theory on my end.
Well, so are you talking about more of a year-round school, just having the summer being a different kind of school and the winter being more self-guided, but still having access to certain resources such as teachers?
Yeah.
like teachers in the summer, whoo, peace out.
Yeah.
Good luck with education.
Yeah.
We did our job. You're our mom and dad.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I think that's, and I think that's actually,
no offense to my teacher friends. That was all out of love.
Yeah. No, but I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. I mean, that's kind of how the thing is set up.
Hey, I was at the parties.
Yeah, I've been to those parties.
Yeah.
It gets crazy. I think what that does is that says, okay, yeah, it's going to be a year-long thing, right? It's a year-long commitment, but there's times, since the winter time, it's up to you. right? I mean, if you want to take 2 months off and not see any kids, you can do that. There's no obligation there, really. It's all based on results, and I think that the teachers that see it as a free paycheck will get weeded out by the students, because it's actually going to be the students who are going to be picking the teachers.
Wait a minute, you just said free enterprise.
Free enterprise?
Yeah, you just said free enterprise. I'm not sure we can talk about that on YouTube.
It'll be, yeah, it's a totally free market, but it's a market based on, if it's a market based on education, true education, right? And it says the teachers don't get graded on how the students fare on the test, but instead the students are able to be open to say, this teacher really helped me, and that builds an organic teaching system. And the people who are there just for the money won't be there long, because the students aren't going to request them, if you will. And it's just like YouTube videos, you know. For this YouTube video, for what we're doing right now, we're not going to have hardly any, because we're just barely starting out, right? But as we move forward, if we're giving people something that they want, the views will reflect that. That's I got that from that video that you sent me about this. What was his name? Give a shout out to this guy, something Blake, Robert or something like that, Roberto Blake.
I sent you this.
Yeah, the guy that was talking about how to build YouTube and whatnot.
Yeah, great, yeah, that's right, Roberto Blake.
We'll try to put a link there, because he gave some really, really good advice, and I got to give him credit. That it's organic, that the eyeballs come if you're giving something that is something people want, and I think that's great. That's a beautiful free market, and I think that education can be that way. And I think that people who are truly want to educate and are truly caring about the future of children and their role in society are not, and I'll just put this out there, they're more concerned with that. And I've known some teachers who feel this way. They're more concerned with that than they are about their own summer vacation. They're more concerned with those kids and the success of those kids than they are about their time off of work.
Sure.
And if we can bring more, I think we've pushed those people out of the education system because of the bureaucracy.
Man. I mean, pushed and pushing, you know?
Yeah, continue to push.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, matter of fact, I was just at a retirement party, the end of the school year this year, for one of my wife's ex-coworkers, my wife being somebody that left the education system and loved it. I know she would love to be teaching again if it was in a different system. And I think probably the same could be said for the lady who, who just retired. She wasn't an old teacher. She was, young, a lot of life in her, loved her teaching, and she talked about it, that this was something she knew she wanted to do since she was a little girl. When her second grade teacher taught her how to read, and after thinking that she just didn't know how to read and just wasn't smart enough, right? And she just had her retirement party, and it was a lot of fun. But I know it was bittersweet for her. So
yeah, we have this strange Prussian method of teaching, creating factory workers, which doesn't work in our current environment. We know this. But what are we doing about it now? Again, I'll repeat this. I'm not an educator. I'm not a teacher in public schools. I'm sure people will have different opinions about it, but I'm saying, like, let's open ourselves up to different methods. And I think being creative with these methods, maybe it's going like way far, but we can pull that back. We can rein it into something that actually works. Because if what we're doing right now isn't working, then what we have to do is something other than what we're doing right now. It's a very simple equation, if you will. But they say, well, we don't know what we're going to do. Then let's just get crazy. Let's think of the craziest thing, and then work our way back from that. And maybe that'll be one of those things. Will be it. We don't know. I have a lot of hope for, and I don't know kids. I don't have any kids, and I don't really know what they like, if they like Pokemon or He-Man or any man or whatever. But I know that kids
They like YouTube,
want,
man.
yeah, YouTube man and Minecraft man. I know that kids want a few things from what in my interactions with kids and me talking with them. And I talk with the kids like I talk with you. Like, this is how I talk to kids. Be very candid with. They'll tell me that they really just want kind of to be heard. Basically, they're not saying it, but there's indirectly they're just saying it because they'll talk and I'll listen and nod and whatnot, and they don't want to be interrupted. They just want to express their thoughts and talk through problems. And I think that's fantastic. And they also want to be, from what I've learned, they want to talk about things that challenge them. They want to talk about concepts and whatnot that are outside of their understanding. They're all about discovery. And I've done a little bit of study in terms of, I had some courses in human development or whatnot, but kids are amazing at discovery. They like hearing things that they don't know. They're different than we get solidified and we have this set of beliefs, and when somebody tells us something that it's not in line with those beliefs that we think are right, we get angry. The kids that I've talked to, they're like, oh, wow, I never thought of it that way, and wow, that's interesting, or oh, show that to me again. And you're like, this is cool. They're fantastic in that way. And I think more than anything, though, is that they want to play. They don't want to learn the way that adults think they want to learn. Adults think that they want to learn like by being preached at, and kids just seem like they want to play. They just want to play. And and there's a lot of I'm big on recess, man. Make recess huge, because kids learn a lot about recess. They learn about, one thing you learn at recess when you're a kid. We talked about recess a while back. One thing you learn at recess when you're a kid is that sometimes people don't like you. That's because recess is, if it's done right, it's a free. It's basically a free market itself. That there's nobody. You have recess monitors, but you don't have anybody that is forcing anybody to play with another person. So the people that have a personalities or have worked in their personality to a certain extent and are personable and are amiable to whatever level, are able to attract other people to play with them, or are accepted in other tribes to play with. Those who haven't are ostracized. And that's not bullying. That's just saying maybe your kid is weird. Maybe the kid has a problem, and that's okay. But maybe the kid's a jerk. Some kids are jerks, right? I remember, like, we all think that all kids are perfect except for bullies. No, some kids are not bullies. They're just jerks, or they just are weird, or they're just the worst, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe they stink. And without that litmus test of us being around a lot of other people socially, they'll never get it. They just won't get it. If anybody's forcing them to talk to them, they just won't understand. Hey, it's like we go to a party, and you go to a party, you start talking to people, and at least this happened to me, and sometimes people don't want to talk to me. I'm like, maybe it's because of something I'm doing or whatnot. I got to figure that out. I got to change that around. And I've changed my approach. I changed how I talk to people, how I listen to people. And all of a sudden I can go to a party and I can talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have learned that had people not had the freedom to act the way that they were going to act.
Yeah. Jordan Peterson, in one of the videos that I saw, and I think we maybe have had this conversation before, talking about, you really have to understand, like, the depths of what your humanity is capable of.
Or inhumanity.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is humanity. I think. I don't know that. I don't know that it's because of lacking humanity that we do things that we regret.
Oh yeah,
I think
that are part of our human nature.
I think that is our humanity that puts us there.
Yeah, it's a spectrum.
Yeah. But I don't know. we'll just go with that. um, but yeah, this like you were talking about kids. Maybe the kid there's just something. Maybe the kid's just the worst, or maybe the kid's a jerk. Or, I mean, come on, we're all the worst. We're all jerks at some point. Kids don't escape that. And I think
O'Doyle rules.
yeah, exactly. I think raising a son has showed me so much about that very nature of my own humanity, um, and really been able to show me those corners that I like to have pretend weren't there, and I think it's exactly what Jordan Peterson's talking about when he says you really have to understand your own humanity before you can start making any kind of a moral stance.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I forget his actual quote, but it's something along those lines, eh?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, take the take the log out of your eye before telling the other person they have the splinter in their eye type
Yeah,
thing, huh?
yeah, exactly.
A pretty classical thought, if you will.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah,
huh.
so that's my or those are a couple of my thoughts on education. And again, this is from an outside view. I have taken some education courses. I was going for to get a degree, a bachelor's degree in education, and
Hmm.
I opted against that. However, I still want to be in a educational role. I want to teach, but I want to do it in a creative way. I want to do it in a different way, and maybe my role is extracurricular, and I'm fine with that. Maybe, and I'm not talking like little kids. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know anything about little kids. I really think that the pivotal point is that middle school age.
Hmm.
Um, I think that I really believe I kind of like have that Amish thought that we can stop teaching them mathematics and all that stuff at around the grade 8 and let them
Hmm.
graduate, and then the people who want to seek academia after that will seek academia, and the ones who want to seek more trade skills or whatnot will seek that.
Hmm.
There's plenty of time after that. I mean, there's plenty of time after 8th grade for kids. If a kid can go for 20 years after 8th grade, let's say they're 13 years old, right?
Okay.
And they decide that they want to be a carpenter, right? So they work as a carpenter for 20 years from age 13. I have a friend who actually did this. At 14, he started working like as a carpenter.
Interesting.
Yeah, and he loves it. Like he's like 23 or 24 now, and he's just like now he's like a master carpenter, and he's just
Hmm.
like really loves it. And he's not dumb. He actually
Huh.
is very smart because he not only does he do the carpentry, he reads and does other stuff on his own
Hmm.
at home. So he's giving himself his own education and he learned this trade, right? But
Yeah.
even if they just did the trade until they're, 33 and they decide, you know what? I want to go get more education, whatever.
Right.
They can go to like a university or something like that for 10 years
Hmm.
and only be 43 years old before they come out like a doctor if they wanted to. They
Yeah.
haven't lost anything.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then
Hmm.
furthermore, I tell people, I says, you know what? In high school, I really didn't learn a whole heck of a lot. But in terms of my subjects, I had a couple teachers, some teachers whom I really really love, and who did teach me some stuff, and I'm thankful for them. But the majority of the time there, I didn't really learn anything other than how to navigate the social strata, if you will,
Hmm.
and figure out my place and how to actually how to get work done and so that I could have fun. That was basically the only thing I learned in high school.
Well, those are some really radical ideas, and I mean honestly, I find some, if not all of them, really interesting. Um, I wonder about having a part two of this kind of conversation and bringing on some of these retired teachers, or get their thoughts on what they would do different, and get them to weigh in on some of these ideas that you have. um, yeah, I think that'd
That
be
would
an
be
interesting
cool.
conversation.
That would be a lot of fun. Yeah. Maybe that's something for a future podcast. I'd love to have some educators in here, pick their
Yeah,
brains, and maybe they have some ideas. Being they're on the front lines, if you will. Maybe they have something. Like I said, I haven't done it,
hmm
but maybe they say no, this would actually be good, or I did this or such and such, and I think that'd be really cool.
Well, I've definitely got some educators and ex-educators that I'm going to share this discussion with, and we'll see it. We'll put it out there, open invitation. If you guys would like to have this discussion, or you have some ideas of that blow this one out of the water, or you have some reasons why these ideas wouldn't be beneficial. Yeah, let us know, and maybe we can arrange to have that discussion on air.
Yeah, yeah. I just don't want, and just we'll just put this out there as like maybe a caveat or something like that. Is that don't come back with hormones, because like yeah, all those kids have hormones. We understand that, and I'm trying to work with the hormones, not work
Yeah.
in spite of the hormones. And I think that if you can work with the hormones. You can, because maybe some of those are going to be like some of those summer nights are going to be, or some of those summer classes would be like learning how to square dance, right?
Hmm.
That'd be an awesome class
Hmm.
because they already have the calculus out of the way or whatever they're supposed to learn, because that's all winter stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In the summer, they're learning how to square dance, and they're learning how to change tires in a car. They're learning how to what's that called? Balance their checkbook. They're learning how to, yeah,
Real life
they're
stuff.
yeah, all this real life stuff. You're taking them out there. You're talking to them. You're letting them. You're showing some of the dumber kids how to, if they have a cart at Walmart, that you put it in the little thing. Like this is how you put it away. You don't leave it right there in the middle of the road. Some of these kids apparently, I know that they need this teaching, because if you go to any of these stores, there's just carts all over the place, and these poor people are either too lazy or too dumb, or both. And nobody's helped them out, and I want to help them out.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, it's like you said, if it's not working, so, do something about it. And it definitely seems to be having a fair share of complications. If you're not willing to say it's not working, you at least can't argue with that. I mean, it's definitely not perfect.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I like the thoughts. And I like that you're thinking this way. That this is actually something that's on your mind, and now it's something that you and I have discussed, and we've put it up on the internet, and maybe the conversation continues, and who's to say that these kinds of real talk conversations about real issues that affect us, in our country, as a civilization. Um, who's to say that having these discussions in the open isn't some steps to really bringing things back into order, righting the ship, if you will.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just cracking open a subject and digging into it. And maybe you end up right where you started. That's fine, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think we're too smart for that. I think we're
Uh,
too.
that's debatable.
I do. I do have hope for mankind, and I believe that we're smart when we put our minds to it. Like we really are.
Yeah, but only for a short period of time. Eventually, we forget the things that we that drove us to make the decisions that we did, and the shiny green thing um, comes over, and all of a sudden you're making different decisions, and you're back where you started. And it takes generations, but it doesn't take too many of them from what I've seen.
Well, I agree with that. However, there is the
Because
the X
I've
factor.
seen multiple generations.
Yeah, in the thousands of years I've lived.
Hmm.
I will say that there's an X factor to it all,
Hmm.
and it's what I call the radical X. That means that the radical mind set into any environment like that won't give it up. They won't allow people to rest on their laurels. They consistently are radical, and they will consistently stand by their guns. And when people start slacking off, they will remind people, no, 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 this is a vision. This is what we got to do. We have to do this. We have to do this, right? Those are the prophets that we have, like the Isaiahs, the Jeremiahs, guys like that, the visionaries that we have who wouldn't give up on their ideas, the Teslas and whatnot. These guys are crazy sometimes. They're radical, but they won't give up on their vision. They won't give up on their idea. And when other people slack off, they call them back and they say, no, 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 we got to make this thing happen. And that is if we're going by just general human behavior, yeah, everybody would gravitate towards the what's easy, what's convenient, what's comfortable. But the radicals never do. The only thing comfortable for a radical is being radical. That is their comfort.
Yeah, I agree with that. But what fluctuates is the ratio of radical people to comfortable people.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's where, because I seem to recall some of the things that you've told me before about the education system, and how it's evolved over the years. I think some of the things that you're talking about are more of a throwback to that early America boom, right? I mean the farmers and I mean it's a different twist, but I think some of this is analogous to the way things were at one time.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
right?
It even goes back further to that, back to like the fundamental beginnings of education, right? Like we talk about the whole Greek eduko or edu, the idea that education is drawing, like that Greek word is drawing that knowledge from that person, not
putting it in.
Yeah, not trying to pack it in.
I'm glad you brought that back up. Yeah.
Yeah, and so if we see ourselves as educators, which every adult is, whether we like it or not, then we constantly, and every child, are wanting to draw out the wisdom and draw out the knowledge that is in that child, that they have it inside of them. They just do. I believe that. And if we could all get on the board and say like, and that's not being idealistic, that's just saying like, hey, we have to, every radical, and perhaps I'm a radical, we have to believe that we can have a 100% success rate, because there's nothing more radical than believing you have a 100% success rate, right? Everybody will say like, well, that'll never happen, but the radicals like, oh no, it will happen, but they're shooting for 10x, right?
Okay.
And like Grant Cardone says, he goes, you shoot for 10x because you're going to end up better off. Or like Ed McMahon, like reach for the stars and you grab them. When you reach for the stars, you might get the moon, and that's good. And so we have to believe that. We have to be radical idealists. We have to believe that we can make all this stuff work. And don't get me wrong, I like economics, and I understand economics and bell curves and all that other stuff and certain percentages of people and blah, blah, blah. But in my mind, that idea that, yeah, we could really change education and turn it on its head for the better 100%, I think that's a good place to start, because anything more than what we have right now is better. And just to add to that, the energy of wanting to make it better, I think is contagious. The energy of wanting to see something work better is intangible. You can't calculate it. It's non-empirical, but at least in the interim or in the beginning. But the results of the energy and the excitement of wanting to make something better can be measured later on. And I mean, it's like Stand and Deliver, right? Jaime Escalante. You can't measure what he was trying to do in the beginning, but you sure could measure his results in the end.
Yeah. Well,
was that in summer school? I don't know if that was in summer school.
Huh.
Escalante. Check it out.
Yeah. I don't know. It kind of feels like it was.
It seemed like it in the movie.
Yeah. It's always summer in the movies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool.
Oh,
So we'll wrap it up with that. All like we have been doing. I'll say if you like this, pound that like button and hit subscribe because we're just building. Uh, Again, Perk and Pub is we're talking about things that we talk about over coffee or maybe a beer, wine, or tea, or whatever's your beverage of choice. When we sit together and we congregate and we talk, these are the things that we come up with, and that's how people have changed the world in the past.
hmm.
Maybe we can do that here. Find me, Jason Solis, at jason-solis.com. That's JASON-SALAS.com. You can find my books. I have my comics and things of that nature, Perk at Work, on there. And you can find me on Twitter at Perk at Work, Instagram at Perk at Work, Facebook at Perk at Work, and YouTube at Perk at Work as well. And Vinny, what do you got to share?
Well, I guess if I got the chance, we I'm about to launch the Creators Pursuit website that has a couple of teasers for the upcoming episodes, and I'm still trying to debate if I'm going to release the episodes one per week leading up to our big launch event, or if we're going to release them all at once right before the launch event. But Yeah, along with the website being released, there will be an announcement for the launch event. We have the date. Jason, you were with me this weekend, and we were working out some of the details. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, we're.
I'm excited about that.
I'm really excited to announce that. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and whatever links you want to put to that, we'll put in the show notes and we'll make it happen.
Very good, man. Well, this was a good conversation. I really appreciate having the opportunity to keep participating in these with you.
Cool, cool. Well, we'll sign off with that. How do we do that? With some music? Out there, there's somebody who's going to want to dance.
Oh, well, I didn't get it in the right position.
That's fine. Is it playing?
Yeah.
Cool. And that's a wrap. Without rap music, by the way.
Quasi rap? No, not at all rap.
No. I was with Felipe and we were watching.
Hmm. uh, Zing. That's bad. Uh, well,